What's up, guys? And thanks for joining me today. As you all know, I am a huge Star Wars fan, and The Last Jedi is just around the corner, coming out in about 3 months. So I decided I'm going to review every Star Wars movie that has been out, starting with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in all the movies. So, let's get started. The evil Trade Federation is planning to take over the peaceful world of Naboo. Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are sent to confront the leaders, but not everything goes to plan. The two Jedi escape and along with their new Gun friend, Jar Jar Binks, head to Naboo to warn Queen Amidala, but droids have already started to capture Naboo and the Queen is not safe there. Eventually, they land on Tatooine, where they become friends with a young boy known as Anakin Skywalker. Qui-Gon is curious about the boy and sees a bright future for him. The group must find a way of getting to Coruscant and finally solve the trade dispute, but there's someone else hiding in the shadows. Are the Sith really extinct? Is the Queen really who she says she is? And what's so special about this young boy? Alright, let's go back in time. The year 1999. I was 19, and there hadn't been a Star Wars movie in years. So, through most of the 90s, Star Wars wasn't really talked about much. Here and there. But, there hadn't been a movie, and there were whispers that George Lucas was going to make episode 1, 2, and 3, which was the story of Darth Vader. But it had been so long, it just wasn't talked about much. So I remember going to the theater, and I was going to go see A Bug's Life with someone. I forgot who. But when I entered the theater, I saw this gigantic poster laid out. It was huge. It was that poster right there. And I saw it. It didn't hit me right away what it was. I saw the kid, and in the bottom right it said episode one. It didn't say it there, but that's what it says. It said episode one, and you see the kid, and I'm looking at episode one. I see the little kid, and still not processing. I'm like, what is that? Then I see the shadow of Darth Vader behind the little kid, and I lost my mind. I I lost my mind. I was so excited. I was like, this is it. Star Wars is coming back. I don't believe it. And you know, from then on, it was just a countdown to when the Phantom Menace was coming out. I mean, I remember that time as if it was yesterday. Everyone was excited. They couldn't wait for this movie to come out. And I got the tickets. I believe it was like 3 months in advance. You actually had to go to the movie theaters back in those days and actually get the tickets in advance. You actually couldn't do it online on your phone like you do now. But it was great. It was a fun time. It was an exciting time, and as far as the movie goes, yeah, it wasn't that good. It just wasn't that good. There are some great parts of the movie that I thought were some redeeming moments, but the movie as a whole just wasn't good. And I know, as fans, we were in denial for a very long time. Even as the movie is, I still saw it about 8 times in the theater because it was Star Wars. Even if the movie wasn't that good, it's Star Wars, and you have to go to the theater and experience it. It's an experience. And yeah, as far as the movie, it really wasn't that good. There's a lot of weak parts in the movie. The acting was horrible. The writing was terrible. The directing was crap. But it's still Star Wars. So let's get into this. Liam Neeson played Jedi Knight Qui-Gon Jinn, and he was one of the bright spots in the movie. His character did come off as wooden sometimes, but you have to remember back in 1999, there weren't a lot of actors that knew how to act in front of a blue screen, in front of things that weren't even there. So I thought for the most part he did very well. A lot of the fans liked his character, and I know they were sad that they didn't get to see him in other installments in Star Wars. So, but for the most part, he played his character great, and I thought he was a great addition to the Star Wars lore. Ewan McGregor played young Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I thought he did a good job in the future prequels. In this one, he didn't do much. There wasn't a lot for him to do. He basically followed Qui Gon Jinn's every move, and nod and an agreement for most part. He like George just didn't give him much material, and he was kind of just there until the end where he actually got to do something. But I thought Ewan McGregor did a fantastic job as Obi Wan Kenobi, playing the character in future installments, as you'll see. But in this movie, he just wasn't given much to do. So yeah, Natalie Portman played Queen Amidala, and she did okay. I thought she did better in this movie than she did in any other of the other excuse me, any other prequels that she played in. Um, she did come off kind of cold, and her there wasn't much development in her character. But I thought for what she was directed to do, I thought she actually did very well. I like that she disguised her voice when she was a queen, and when she wasn't the queen, they're totally different people. And it made sense. It was kind of like Christian Bale disguising his voice as Batman in the Batman movies that he did. So she did okay. There's a lot of talent in this movie. Just they weren't directed correctly. So Jake Lloyd played Little Annie, Little Anakin Skywalker, and here is where my main problem with the movie lies. I have nothing against Jake Lloyd personally, but he was just miscast for this part. Um, I think this is where my whole big thing with kid actors in movies and why they're so important. You cast the right, kid for the part because they can make or break the movie. And in this case, he broke the movie. Um, yeah. A lot of the fault lies with George Lucas, but I just don't think Jake was right for this part. And this goes back to the Phantom Menace DVD. When the DVD was released, it came with this documentary, this great documentary called The Beginning, which it's like an hour long, and it shows George Lucas from the very beginning how he started coming up with the story elements of Phantom Menace, and it outlined how it all came together. And in that documentary, they showed the casting for almost everyone, and they showed the casting for Anakin Skywalker, and it came down between three kids, and he was one of those three. And within the video, the other kid that they were about to go with, it came down at the end. It came down between two. It was him and this other kid, and the other kid was clearly better. It was obvious, and I think everyone in the room was noticed that. They just were afraid to, tell Lucas, I think this other kid's better. I guess Lucas apparently was favoring Jake Lloyd, but it was so obvious. If you guys get a chance, check it out. Even the kid's picture, the other kid, he looked so much like Luke Skywalker. I'm like, how did they not cast this other kid? He was perfect. When he read the lines, he read them perfectly. I'm like, what happened there? So yeah, it was one of those things where Lucas apparently just had an eye for this kid, and he thought Jake would be better, and it wasn't the case. There are many things wrong with this movie, but I think this was for me the main fault of the movie. Oh, and here is the most hated character in Star Wars history, Jar Jar Binks. It's so sad because in the documentary that I mentioned earlier, these guys, George Lucas and company, really thought that this character was gonna break new ground and is gonna be the game changer. How wrong they were. To be honest, I didn't have such a problem with Jar Jar Binks. His character was obviously targeted for children, and I understood that. So, I don't think his character was ever meant to be taken seriously. I mean, yes, he was annoying, and all that crap was stupid, but he didn't ruin the movie for me. There was many things about the movie that annoyed the crap out of me, but he really wasn't one of them. It didn't, he didn't uh, make me not want to see the movie. So yeah, his character was crap, but like I said, for me, he wasn't the worst character in the movie as far as ruining the movie for me. So, and here is by far the best thing about the Phantom Menace: Darth Maul. He was awesome. Just look at him. The presence alone. It just pissed me off because they just didn't flesh out his character enough. He had very little scenes in the movie. The scenes he were in were great, but it just weren't enough. And I was hoping that this guy would be the villain throughout the prequels, and it just wasn't so. It was a shame. I think his character design and what he was meant for would have been for bigger things, and it just wasn't meant to be. It just sucks because his character was awesome. He had the double lightsaber, and it was amazing. His character was great, really was. Ian McDiarmid played Palpatine slash the Emperor. Everyone knows that, and he did great. He's always great. It was fun to see the beginning of his strategy going up to Episode 3, and it all started here in Phantom Menace, and he was definitely one of the bright spots about the movie, and yeah, he's great, man. He's great. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't the greatest Star Wars movie, but it wasn't the worst. Not for me. That review is coming up next. I'm going to try to review each Star Wars movie week by week, leading up to The Last Jedi. At least I'm going to try. We'll see how it goes. But the next one will be Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. My favorite. So look forward for that. And if you like what you see here, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back.